Internet is not the sage from up above telling you the facts. If I were to say anything at all, I would say I have to go back and see in what way whatever I said earlier would still be valid. That much education has changed. Make use of the opportunities in front of you. Don't put up with anything that serves you wrong, really wrong. Students from India and China were the most often held responsible for this kind of what is called copying. Right from parents on, don't let your children just mouth some facts from internet every step of the way. Look for ways and means to step forward in your education or pick up another education. And even a picture. How can I rely that picture that is there, every person there actually existed at that moment?
Hello, Namaste, Sat Shri Akal. Welcome to another episode of Diversify, a podcast series by Punjab Live TV Canada. मैं हूँ आपकी दोस्त Payal, and today we have another incredibly inspiring woman with us, educator, researcher, institutional builder, and a PhD in human resources, none other than Ganga Dakshinamurti ji. Hello, we are honored to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, and I'm quite, looking forward to the interview now.
Thank you so much. So we would like to start with your journey, because you've been here in Canada since 1965.
That's correct.
So how did you started your journey, and how was the time back then?
Well, I'll start my narration from the time I landed in Winnipeg. Starting from India, you go through the same kind of feeling no matter where you're leaving. You're leaving your relatives, you're leaving your land, you're leaving your comfort zone and entering. So getting into, and we came from states, via states to Winnipeg, and so we were coming by train, and we were coming in April. And now we know April is the yuckiest month to come into Winnipeg because snow had melted, but green had no grass is growing, nothing is there. So the brownest land that you can come at that time. And it was so yucky, and I was thinking, why on earth would we come to Winnipeg? This is 1965, April. And that's how our journey started. We were initially in an apartment and moved, from then on. 1965 to now, 2025, Winnipeg has been a wonderful place to live in, and Canada has supported in all my endeavors in every which way. So I feel very much an Indian, very much a South Indian still, with my culture, everything still flourishing, and at the same time fully involved in Manitoba, Canada life.
That's a wonderful journey to start with. I've noticed you've given all your life to education. You have quite a few different degrees. You have PhD in human resources. So you did that studies back in like 1960s, where women were not allowed, to get education, in that manner. Like today's generation, it's very easy that we go and we get studies. So how was back then? Like, how did you manage to do all the stuff?
So in a sense, you're going into my 50s. That's when my education was happening. Then 1961, I got married just as I finished my master's, and then coming here. And this is from the South India. We belong to a sect where we were very much encouraged to study. So not that we were not, but at the same time within certain guidelines. Each one had a particular perspective. So my father would certainly expect us to be well educated, be an educated women in our own right, and my mother expected that to be certainly sure you learn, but you marry someone who has studied more than you have. So since I wanted to do my PhD, she worried about it. How can she find someone who is also a PhD? But it so happened that's how it ended up to be. Ours is an arranged marriage. That was the culture of a norm in those times for our group. But it so happened the very first person my parents were looking into happened to be the one that I married, Dr. Dakshinamurti. He came with his PhD, so my mother felt comfortable that she could pursue PhD if she wants to. But the main thing is, right from the beginning, the culture of learning has always been there, both with my family And then when I came in here, very much so with my husband. To cut the whole story, I have the whole narration from my grandfather to my father to my mother, how education was behind me all the time. So it was not, the stepping stones were there for me. My grandfather, just as a sprinkling of the Indian way of looking at it, he will not allow me to question anything unless I have a proof to establish my case. So when I was irritated because there was a Christian journal that said something or other, then I said, how can they say that? And he asked me, did you read Bible so that you could answer that question? I said, no, I have not. Go study and then come and ask me that question. See, asking you to go to the source is one clear way of finding out the need to learn. Unless I learn, I cannot answer back. So sure enough, I did a little, Bible study course, came back, found the same reason for saying no. Then he accepted that. Yes, what you say is correct because you are now speaking from truth. From that beginning on, over here to my husband all the way, when I have 2 young daughters and wanting to do a PhD, his question was not, how can you do it? He said, tell me how we can do it and what are the problems you are likely to face and what is my role in solving that problem. That was his answer to me. Can I do my PhD with 2 daughters, with 1 car and PhD over at Fort Garry and my husband in the medical school? How do we communicate? And 2 young children, one in kindergarten and one in a, nursery program. We did it. So I identified the problems. He solved with 1 car, like you leave 12, you pick up 12:30, you go there. We did it. But have the courage to ask people who can help you. But first identify what are the problems involved. Not have them feeling, oh dear, I cannot do anything about it. No, you can. Provided you have anticipated the problems and put in the solution to that. See, I think I look at the world that way, the way my husband has guided me in here, to take a positive attitude of wanting to learn, step forward, but be aware of the problems involved and how you could solve them.
That's so beautiful way of, looking at a life that, how can you solve them rather than just saying that I have this problem, I have that problem.
Exactly.
We can just say like, how can we solve it?
So,
that makes it possible at least that
very
we would be able to
and
do
then
it.
Have the courage to talk it out. You are not a lone person here. You have your family, or if not, talk to whoever you can. See in what way you can go forward. And another lesson I learned in my life, any defects you have that cannot be corrected, boldly say that up front. If I cannot hear that well, and I cannot, hiding that is the worst fault I can make. Because from then on you doubt my answers, which is half-fledged, but whereas if I say I cannot hear well, can you speak up? Immediately I'm accepted. I learned that. So every step of the way, where necessary, I'm not broadcasting it. If you're speaking comfortably enough for me, I'm not going to tell you I have my hearing aid and I'm hearing you from that. But if I don't say that I learned to my cost, that's a problem. So from then on, I realized it's not my fault if I have my hearing aid. So if it is my fault, if my English is not easily understandable to you, I have to take the time to change my way of talking. See, that's essential for a teacher or for a researcher or for all the way to a librarian at the university. Everywhere, communication is our only vehicle. So I need to speak this Canadian way of at least understanding. My English is still Indian, but still try to make it as I'm sort of neither Indian nor Canadian in my accent now. Whichever way, so long as the idea is to make yourself understood. So any defect I have that I cannot change, I'm going to be upfront, provided it matters in this communication. Where it does not matter to you, I have multitude of problems, I won't have to tell you that. So that courage and acceptance I learned, it has helped me a lot to go where I am. And the other thing also I will say is part of my education. When an opportunity comes in, You never know what are all the other opportunities in there. I did my teacher training after coming up with how am I going to solve my cases of managing the children with one car, and all that. Yeah. Why am I doing that? Well, that is one thing I can do in a part-time basis. I don't know where that's going, but let me do it. After I did that, the Department of Education offered me a scholarship to do MLS, which I did not even know they had provision. They needed librarians so badly. So they said, can you become a librarian? And I said, yes, I have partly trained. So I did my master's in Queen's University. The tuition was fully covered as a scholarship program from the teacher's education field. And once you do a master's, PhD is the next step. Readily you are accepted then, because you have the qualification to come forward, provided your topic is interesting. My topic is human resources. So the ladder sort of comes up to you. If you take the ladder that is offered to you, step up, you will find the next.
You've done studies back in 1965, you did masters and you did PhD. Looking at today's world, what do you feel like it has been changed in terms of education?
Yeah, very much so. In fact, if I were to say anything at all, I would say I have to go back and see in what way whatever I said earlier would still be valid. That much education has changed. And what had precipitated that is the computerization, the access. But one thing I'm worried, yes, much as I welcome, in fact, I was in the era when the libraries manually searched, manually retrieved. That was the world of library. Became the most computerized area in the entire university. From this most manual work, it switched to the most computerized automatic way of retrieval, searching. The student does not see the manual labor that goes into it to get the database in there. All you see is the retrieval part of it. And you are not searching the way you used to in the manual world. What was necessary then was way more than what you now find. So because of that, the searching mechanism, the retrieval mechanism has changed. The belief is that everything there is there, readily served to you like a cooked food, and you can just take it. Librarian would say no. The danger is you still have to use your mind, your intellect, to recognize what is buried there is the real, the truth of the matter, what is acceptable or not acceptable. That scrutiny is getting to be toned down now. And because I live with my two daughters, one daughter is a professor, and of course my husband was throughout his life had been, as far as I know, university and teacher. The value of scrutiny, examination of the fact, how reliable that is getting submerged. I worry about that because the cross-checking, value checking, and who said what, how recently this is, how reliable it is vis-a-vis somebody else said that, all that goes away because, it is in the internet, I'm accepting it. Internet is not the sage from up above telling you the facts. Internet is just throwing everything in front of you. You still need to verify, question, authenticate, and that is the value of that is getting less and less. Sourcing. So good thing they now have a mechanism to automatically verify when they are merely quoting a source without scrutinizing that. My daughter is able to capture that, something my husband would not have because at that time that was not happening. So the initial entry, people were just copying and often found good deal of the time, and in the business school I was in, taking information literacy courses for them, students from India and China were the most often held responsible for this kind of what is called copying, because they had the mindset thinking anything in the internet you are already published, you can copy. No, anything in the internet is still a published source by somebody else. So that education, that scrutiny, that checking, is that really so? That question is getting less and less. And that is now happening earlier and earlier. High school students verbatim copy from sources all over. And that to me, as a librarian and as an educator, I'm quite worried. So, what I do plan to do for the next 5 years, I'm sure I'll be thinking yet, within the next 5 years, I want to check both these worlds. What is now? And then, is it a believable data that they get at the end, looking at the computerized sources? AI has taken over the world, you know. How intelligent is this artificial intelligence?
And also, like these days, we believe that Gen Z people, we tend to not rely more on studies. The level is
Yeah.
going down for education. We don't think that much that education is very important.
Yeah.
But for you, someone who has spent their whole life in education, right?
I am disturbed, very disturbed.
What do you like? What's your message to them, or what do you
Message
think
to them,
about
be
this?
aware, and right from parents on. Don't let your children just mouth some facts from internet. No, scrutinize, analyze, ask them to elaborate. Even a simple thing, the other day, Aurora Borealis was all over the sky, right? So we went all the way out. And we have some excellent friends in the community who keep me up to date on this. I'm very, very peripheral knowledge, extreme peripheral knowledge of what I'm looking at. And then I was startled to find my eyes, I'm not seeing the way the camera, all kinds of picture shots, the color and all that. My eyes are not picking it up. But it's saying it's all this reds and blues and all those colors. Then I realized, I was told, and matter is there in writing, your eyes don't pick up because it gets interfered with the various other lights. The various colors, the camera picks it up. So what is the reality here? What you experience or what the camera tells you it is. Our artificial intelligence is the camera. What we experience would be what we see. That is a scientific phenomena. I accept that. My eyes, the human eyes, are not capable to pick up the nuances of the aurora borealis like the way a camera is, which is exactly what computerization does that, which is okay. But stretch that to written word or any other thing, feeling, and even a picture. How can I rely that picture that is there, every person there actually existed at that moment? Gone are the fact when I can simply say a wedding, all the people attended the wedding. They can put all kinds of people now and make it look like the way it is. Is it good? In some ways, in a funny way, it is very good. In reality, I worry. How easy it is for me to mimic a tone of somebody, to say he did say that. And can I rely on that?
And even same with back in the days, like we were told that books are your best friend.
Yeah.
But in today's world, it has changed. We can say like Google is our friend. And, we like Gen Z people tend to, just search everything on Google and just
Exactly.
rely on it.
Once upon a time, that's what we did. Now we have moved on now, even further. I don't know where this world is going to be, so I'm glad I'm not there. In a way, I won't have the enough scrutiny of mind to question everything. Now I'm told, if you don't know the person, don't worry answering. Simple thing. Gone are those days when somebody called, you answered. Right? Now they are told, but the more senior you get, the more you get this kind of message. Be wary of to whom you give. Definitely there are information that I won't give at all unless I see them in person and recognize who they are. But how many seniors get into trouble because they may not know, because somebody called and they gave the information. In those days, that's what we did. When somebody called, we gave the information.
And how, so after, doing education and everything back in India, like how did you choose to come to overseas and all the way, especially to Winnipeg?
Well, because I got married to somebody who is already, he's expected to be here for a while. He did ask me, that was one question. Is it okay with you if we stay in Canada for the next 10 years maybe? At that time US, whichever way, we stay outside. 10 years is how all Indians, I think, in those days anyway, we go through that. We initially thinking is we are going to be here for X number of years, that X become doubled and tripled and all that. But then you make a meaningful life right here. We were part of the initial group that started the temple. We were part of the initial group that built the symphony, initial group that built the planetarium. We were all part of that. And as a representative from our community, my husband and I were always there. This is how Winnipeg grew. So we made a life for ourselves, brought what we valued over there to here. And when you see me participating in all that, that's my way of coming up with my Indian life.
And you are also, known as a cultural ambassador, I would say, because I see you all the time wearing the sari.
Yeah,
And
that catches your eye, right?
Yes,
Just for that, I
definitely.
should continue to wear my sari.
Definitely. And you inspire a lot of women like us, right? About
I'm very
that,
happy to hear that.
you have been quite active in the community, right? So what has been your experience till now? Like, do you think nowadays youth they are coming to join you, or they are, or are they taking a responsibility? What are their challenges?
That's a very good question. I'm glad you asked it that way rather than you do all this and then finish that. No, I'm doing all that. In what way the youngsters, I call all of you youngsters,
Yes.
see me and accept me. There are times when I'm sure the old lady is saying, I'm sure that is there. But then there are times when I may spark something in them. There have been some, and I usually reach out to anyone telling me that they are from the business faculty from U of M. Because I still remember the worried years I had when I was giving information literacy. Every time anyone who would make a mistake, kind of acceptance or blithely saying something, oh, why can't we accept that, would be, as I mentioned, from our country. That bothers me. So I should not. I should be equally be bothered by anybody who would go that route. But more and more the number was that way, so that bothered me. But now I'm totally, as you say, in the cultural world. And I do have, my husband and I established the Dakshinamurti library in the temple. And therein we have seminars, we have, all that, going to do more that way too. And the youngsters and the teachers and the young real children, they also come. In terms of accepting it, I'm recognizing the need to bring in younger people into the cultural world, like Diwali Mela, which I coordinate for the cultural program. More and more, we are bringing in youngsters by first, of course, emceeing or helping as volunteers so that pretty soon they can take over. And in that context, I'm using this mechanism. Tell me where they feel uncomfortable with what I say. Then I could see then that is a track, that my track is different from theirs. Could be because of my age, could be because of where I'm coming from. And there I fight tooth and nail. We will give me explanation of why not this and throughout. But the positioning should be where they say, that is good, I can do that now. I like it. Because what's the point in my emphasizing something? Am I sending the message across to them? Because I'm not going to be there. Next 5 years, who knows? God knows how long. 86 means I have already stepped into that first ladder for sure. So, high time you guys took over from us. And it's happening.
You are also an coordinator at Manohar Performing Arts Academy. You've brought Bharatnatyam, our cultural form of dance, to here in Canada in Winnipeg. Do you see that this, this time the youths are participating it, or how they are taking that our cultural dance? How, what's their perspective about it?
See, again, dance is a wonderful medium. It helps you to be in touch with your India, if we are talking about Indian dance, at the various levels. Having said that, classical medium is hard to keep up with because it's physically demanding. You have to be in good shape. But it's wonderful if you can maintain it. It does put you in good shape. Nothing like a regular classical dance practice to keep you limbered up and your bones. And if I am, even to the extent where I am, young days I was learning Bharatanatyam. See, that puts in a physical way. But beyond that, participation at that level gives you pride of doing something. Really, it is calling for a lot of learning. One, that's folk dance, everybody enjoys, and that everyone knows the pleasure of it. Bollywood has its own enjoyment. So each one brings you something. I can speak only surely about the classical, the element of the learning part, the physical part of that, and that is the stepstone into our cultural literature. You cannot dance an item unless you know what you're dancing, because classical dance is a medium of communication. We are telling you a story, and the story is from our scriptures and in our scholarship, in all kinds of storytelling. India is rich in stories. And the story is, why am I telling you a story? Instead of telling, do this, don't do this, I'm telling you a story, and on your own, your mind is, you as a child, is going to pick up that the moral tale out of that. This is how we passed on our do's and don'ts, not as 10 commandments, but as a story. So now my daughters are very good exponents of Bharatanatyam, and they are also learning Kathak wherever they need to, because we, Manohar, tell stories. Whichever way they do, tremendous amount of research goes into the music of it, the literature of it. So what you see is a combination of everything that is Indian classical. They find that immeasurably a thinking job for them. And then dance, of course. My daughter broke her ankle, she put that together, and then dance made it better, like that. All this is part and parcel. Being doctors, they know only too well which one helps where it should not. And dance is now, they are making sure I do some of the things so that my foot that I cracked the other day and totaled my car, everything, is now so much better because of that. So, dance is not something you do just for pleasure. It is for your own physical well being, mental well being, and the pride with which you walk in life. I definitely encourage anyone who can learn our classical. Of course, I'm a classical person, so classical dance or music, or very definitely the folk dance. And if you can go into Bollywood, well and good, so long as you don't keep on repeating the same.
And one advice that you would like to give out to women, who's starting off or who wants to be where you are, like, who wants to be working all the way around, what advice would you give?
What would be? And whom am I looking at?
Women.
Women. Young women?
Yes, like me.
Definitely.
A young women like me.
Young women, make use of the opportunities in front of you. Don't put up with anything that serves you wrong, really wrong. Often women kept silent. Point out the problem. Not all human beings will have the luck that I've had in having the kind of husband, the kind of father, but there are people with whom I had to put together. I had to cultivate that courage. Don't feel cowed down. Each one of us carry many a fault. Some fault that no fault of mine, I got them. Like my hearing is not my fault. That's a hereditary thing. I have it. But there could be something else. My not taking care of me means then I am going to be, So take care of yourself, both physically and mentally. And women owe it to themselves to look after themselves. Sometimes we forget, we are so involved in taking care of others. We forget ourselves. It's not wrong at all to like something and thereby give yourself a second idli maybe, or second something or other.
And one advice to the youth for the education.
Education, first what I said in the beginning, every step of the way, look for ways and means to step forward in your education or pick up another education, anything that helps you to take up that ladder. Often the steps are there, we don't see them because we don't take the time to check it out. And immediately we say, oh, too many problems in front. If I can do a PhD in a foreign country where I'm still uncomfortable wearing snowshoes, the required way of walking about, with 2 children and with 1 car in Winnipeg, going all the way from St. James to this and that, back and forth and all that. a lot of people can do a lot of things. Have the courage to step forward. You are needed, but you need the training that is available to you. That's another thing. Now a lot of time now I had to take a taxi because I had to go where I had to go. And so many taxi drivers are from India. And some of them are having hard time. So I get to talk to them a lot. They see me as India immediately, and I also tell them, sorry, Hindi nahi malum, so that takes care of that. From then on, we are talking. I've been advising them, so I even talked to some people that I know that we should compile a list of sources that university going people can go to get more computer training, to go. All these people are where they want to upgrade themselves. How can they? I tell them no matter what profession is there, learn to get some computer training. If you are already there, get more of that. Or go into Red River, find out what are the course you can take in the evening that will augment where you are. Every step of the way I find, as I'm thinking about it and teaching, definitely they see me an old lady, they are ready to talk to me, and I tell them, and immediately I tell them I'm a teacher, so the lay of the land I'm familiar with. Get some help and educate more. Find out if you are interested in this. If you're interested, yeah, in handicraft and whatever. Red River has all kinds of ways to do that. You never know when it will be. But first and foremost, get computer training. That's half the battle in life now. So the very first question you start, yes, artificial intelligence everywhere. Do I know enough about that? I don't. So if I'm looking for upgrading myself, that is where I will go. And that's what I would seriously advise any youngster.
Thank you so much for your valuable time. It was lovely talking to you.
I just enjoy talking. I hope I didn't talk too much, but there it is. That's the way I am, like a fountain.
We got to learn so many new things, and I would definitely know that our viewers would benefit a lot
Please do.
from your guidance as well.
I'll be watching you from up above.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. So ये थे गंगा दक्षिणामूर्ति जी एंड उनकी लर्निंग्स ऑफ 85 इयर्स इन दिस लाइफ. ऐसे ही आप देखते रहिए पंजाब लाइव टीवी कनाडा. जल्दी ही मिलेंगे अगले एपिसोड में. डाइवर्सिफाई, अ पॉडकास्ट सीरीज बाय पंजाब लाइव टीवी कनाडा. दिस इज पायल साइनिंग ऑफ. बाय. हैव अ नाइस डे.